Valsogard Enterprise, improving everything.
Hello and welcome into our new presentation. In this presentation, I'm gonna be talking about something that we internally called the Historical Venues project. And before I proceed with the presentation itself, I wanna say that today, at the time of filming of this presentation, is the 4th of June 2022. Today marks the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Midway, and you might be thinking, why is this important at all? Well, I'm a historical geek, if I may say, because I grew up playing World War II games such as Medal of Honor, Call of Duty and such, and games like that got me hooked into a little bit of books, especially documentaries, movies, etc. And now let's proceed with the presentation itself, and I'm gonna explain all the things in more detail. Let's go. Valsogard Enterprise. This is our company, and we are specializing in real-time interactive 3D graphics solutions, which you can find more about on our website valsogard.com, and you can find us on other social media and channels for contact such as LinkedIn, email, ArtStation and such. Also, you can join our community on Discord. All of the information needed is gonna be put in the description of this presentation or somewhere very accessible for you. Right, historical venues. So what is it and what's the value? So let's go. Historical venues is a concept and technological foundation for reconstructing the events, people, and objects from the past. This is achieved by using the power of real-time and interactive 3D graphics. This is important to be mentioned because this is all happening in real time, and we are gonna cover that more in depth later on. And also it is interactive. So just to give you a brief explanation what it means to be interactive. Well, movies are, for example, not interactive. You just watch the movie as it is, so you cannot take part in it or change anything. And when it comes to real time and interactive go hand in hand in this case, and I will be covering that more in depth later on. So here we have presentation stages, which are covering the value, the problems and the solutions, and an example. What's the value in something like this? Well, first of all, I would like to start with education. So this provides us an opportunity to have education about history in more interesting and interactive way. And books are fine, videos, documentaries are fine, but I think that having something where you can take part in more immersed way, for example, such as VR applications, video games, etc. I think this is something that makes things easier to grasp and understand, and also make it all more fun, right? Curiosity. How did it look and feel back then at certain point in time, or how did it feel to be a particular person, maybe a writer, a scientist, a politician, or someone else? How did it look and feel to be in the middle of, for example, the Battle of Midway or other battles, Battle of the Bulge? And I'm a little bit biased here, definitely, not a little, because I'm a historical geek, just like I put it out. But we are definitely not limited by the last century. We can go like centuries or even millennia back in time. life lessons. What can we learn from the past when it comes to disasters, wars? Again, I know my examples are a little bit grim, but also they are positive examples, such as humanity's achievements, landing on the moon, inventing a wheel, and such, but not necessarily limited to those. Also, we have another value, which is additional layer to the already existing archives, such as books, photos, videos, and such. And real-time 3D applications like this are helping us to add additional or supplementary layer. If you are reading a book, well, why not enjoy and try something out, such as an interactive app, and see how the event actually looked like. Photos, since we are recreating the actual objects, people, and the events, the existing archives are limited. So, for example, we don't have all the angles, all the photos of the angles from a certain event. The same thing can be said for videos. Videos were shot at certain quality, if they exist at all. They were shot at a specific resolution, quality, and such. So this all is acting as a supplementary, as an addition to all the existing mediums of archives. And we have wide range of media formats available, such as VR or AR apps, virtual museums, movies, interactive applications, video games, and so on. Problems and solutions. Let's start first with the problems. And I would single out the three major problems preventing us from reconstructing history. The first one would be it's impossible to reconstruct everything because we have missing people and missing locations. Who was alive in the past is probably dead nowadays, and we cannot revive people. We cannot get them back in their lives. Also, locations, for example, Chernobyl disaster. Nowadays, the nuclear power plant that exploded back in 1986 is very changed from what it looked like and how was it decades ago. And all of these things and facts make it very hard and impossible in most cases to reconstruct such events. Now this leads me to the next point, which is undesirable. Well, I think you would definitely agree with me that wars we either don't want or we shouldn't recreate them, but this doesn't limit us or prevents us from seeing how it looked like and how it felt. What lessons can we take from them? Also, disasters. Well, just like I mentioned this example a minute ago, Chernobyl accident is something that is undesirable, something that we don't want and should not try to reconstruct in a real life, real world way of things. But doing things in 3D is safe and more cost efficient. Which leads me to the third major problem, which is extremely expensive. Spending huge amounts of money, and in most cases we are talking about tens of millions, even hundreds of millions, and maybe even more, like why not more, depending on the project scale. Spending that amount of money isn't always justifiable. And when it comes to CV-6 USS Enterprise ship that I'm gonna cover more in depth throughout the remainder of this presentation, in order to reconstruct such ship, it would literally take years and hundreds of millions of US dollars in today's money. And I think that no matter how many fans or whatever that particular ship has, I think it just isn't justifiable. And we went through the problems. Now, what are the solutions? We can reconstruct the events, people, or objects that existed in the past or happened in the past by using software technologies from other industries. And in our case, that would be primarily from the video games industry. And in our company's case, that would be Unreal Engine, which is a very well known software that is mostly being used for the production of video games, but it is definitely not limited to those. And now let's go through some of the examples. Just like I said before, I'm a little bit biased, so I was a little bit struggling to name the examples. Feel free to think about your own examples. How would you apply something like this so that we can consider? But let's go through the list that I came up with. Ancient civilizations, Egyptian, Greek civilization, and such. Maybe even Vikings, why not, etc. Natural disasters and the human-made disasters. Actually, I made a little bit of a mistake here. The Chernobyl accident wasn't a natural disaster. It was actually human-made disaster, but played a huge role in the natural surrounding of humanity. And historical achievements, maybe things like landing on the moon. Historical battles, something that I'm personally most interested in, and there are a couple of them from World War II that I like focusing on, but this is not at all limited to either World War II or historical battles or wars at all. But anyway, some of them that I would single out would be Battle of Midway, Battle of Stalingrad, landing on the Normandy, Battle of the Bulge, etc. And we have important people such as scientists, maybe politicians, writers, activists, etc., but not limited to. And of course, feel free to name your own important person that you would like to see recreated or reconstructed in this way. At the time of filming this presentation for the first time, it is the 4th of June 2022, and today marks the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Midway, and probably the most important partaker in that battle was the CV-6 USS Enterprise. It was the United States aircraft carrier during World War II, and it was serving in the Pacific Theater. And Enterprise was a Yorktown-class aircraft carrier of the US Pacific Fleet. One of only 3 aircraft carriers built before the start of World War II that survived the war. It took part in many well-known naval battles and the missions in the Pacific Theater, such as Pearl Harbor, Coral Sea, Midway, Solomon Islands, etc. Enterprise earned 20 battle stars, making it the most decorated US ship of World War II. It had the best service record, even though the Essex class aircraft carriers were more modern and technologically superior. The ship was decommissioned in 1947, and Enterprise really had a unique story. Being the sole surviving Yorktown class aircraft carrier, and also the ship with the best service record of them all, it definitely deserved to be preserved as a warship museum. And I'm mentioning this because there were other aircraft carriers and ships which had lesser service record, were not as important, not as unique, but they were still kept and preserved as museums. However, it wasn't to be the case, so the USS Enterprise couldn't be preserved due to lack of funding, although there were efforts to make that happen. And unfortunately, in 1958, the most decorated ship of World War II was scrapped for metal. Like mentioned previously, CV-6 was a major participant in the Battle of Midway, which took part, like I said, on the 4th of June until the 7th of June 1942. That is exactly 80 years ago. And we are putting our efforts into revival of the CV-6 USS Enterprise. By using real-time 3D technology and historical archives, we can recreate a highly realistic representation of the actual ship. The CV-6 USS Enterprise that existed 80 years ago. And by the way, not just the ship itself, but also its aircraft, its crew, its guns, its props, and all the supplementary things coming along. And now let's talk about the current stage and status of this project of ours. At the moment, we are using a low poly mock-up 3D model of the CV-6 Enterprise, and our plan is to eventually reconstruct the whole ship, including aircraft, guns, even personnel, just like I mentioned previously. And we are starting from its exteriors, which would be guns, aircraft. Then we are probably gonna proceed with the control island and the plywood deck itself. The process of reconstruction of its aircraft and guns has already started, and I will be able to show you more renders of those just in a minute. The plan is to use the old and new experience and construct the production pipeline and go beyond this CV-6 USS Enterprise project. And I'm repeating myself, but this isn't limited to World War II. This isn't limited to wars at all. And this is just one out of literally millions of examples that can be used and reconstructed. Historical venues, hence the name of the project. Maybe you had a particular person that you like reading books about, biographies, autobiographies, such, whether that's a musician, scientist, artist, maybe about a specific culture, specific country, specific continent, part of the world that you are interested in, doesn't matter. That is probably something that can be covered in one of many iterations of a project like this. Basically, if there is a historical book, documentary, or a movie about things in the past or people from the past, well, this kind of project can have its application in those things, definitely. And now here we have one of the aircraft models that were serving on the USS Enterprise during World War II. That is Seaborne Dive Bomber SBD Douglas Dauntless. And all these renders are gonna be available on our ArtStation page and our website, and links to those will be added in the description or at the end of this presentation. So you may enjoy the renders that we have prepared for you guys. Now let's proceed with guns. Here we have Oerlikon 20mm anti-aircraft cannon or gun, and there were 3 or 4 other different gun models, but we decided to start with this one. And as you may see or even recognize, this is a CAD model of Oerlikon 20mm anti-aircraft cannon, and we are taking historical accuracy very seriously. And this is just a preview from within the CAD software. During the upcoming stages, we plan on additionally post-processing the 3D models, textures, materials, and all the supplementary things in order to recreate the objects in most historically accurate way, and also in the most interesting way of things. And now I'm gonna show you additional renders of the 3D model that we currently have, and not just the model but the surrounding scene. Here we have an ocean scene with different light scenarios and time of day settings, so enjoy it. This is from the stern angle, so that means from the back of the ship. This is from the port side, that means left side of the ship. And another angle from the left side. This is from its bow angle. And that's it for this particular presentation. Thank you so much for watching and for your attention. You can find more info about our company and our projects and services on valsgard.com. If you're interested about this particular project, which would be historical venues, make sure to go to valsgard.com/historical-venues. Over there, we are gonna put highly realistic and high quality 3D renders as the project is progressing. There's gonna be supplementary text, information in a way of photos and animations, videos, and probably even demonstrational apps or different experiences. You can also check out our ArtStation profile for other works and projects. That is artstation.com/valsgard. And you may also visit our LinkedIn company page, which is linkedin.com/company/Valsgard Enterprise. You may also consider joining our Discord community server, or maybe even finding us on Telegram. All the links, all the information is gonna be in the description of this video, or in the comment section, or somewhere where it is very easy and convenient for you to reach. My name is Drago. Thank you again for watching this presentation, and I wish you all the best, and see you soon somewhere in one of the next videos, in one of the next projects, in our Discord community, or just somewhere around the corner. Thank you again, wish you all the best, see you soon, Bye bye.